Today we're going to take a look at two different components of your SAE project that you need to pay extra close attention to when you go through and complete these sections, and make sure that you do them correctly. It can be confusing, so I'm going to take just a few moments here and work with it for you here and let you see how the Excel document works and how it adds the numbers up and things for you. So for example, let's say for your SAE project you are working with your livestock and your first entry on your SAE project was today. So you would put today's date in the first column, November 6, 2015, and then you'll see it'll make some slight modifications there for you. And then for your description of your job or your agri-science research, you just want to put in there what you did for your project. So depending on what you did for that day, that will determine what you put in here. So you might put say you're working with a swine project and on the 6th of November you purchased that animal. So you'll put that in as your first entry for your SAE project. Now, for the next column, this is where a lot of students get confused. They don't know whether they should put their time in paid or in the unpaid column. Basically, the way you need to understand this is that any amount of time that you spend on this project should be documented on this page appropriately. Now, you need to make sure of two things. Number one, if you look right here, total hours worked. For that, this is going to be, you want to go to the whole number. So for example, 15 minutes is going to be 0.25 here. So if you're working an hour and a half on a particular day, you'll put 1.5 in the appropriate column. Now this first column here, this is going to be for your unpaid hours. So for a lot of what you guys do with your SAE project, most of your entries are going to be within the unpaid column. Only for times that you actually earn money on that project will it be here. Now, if you're doing a placement type SAE project where you're going out working for a business or you've started your own business, then you may have the majority of your entries in the paid column. But for a lot of people that are doing entrepreneurship type or research-based projects, most of your time is going to be in the unpaid. So like I said before, you want to round to the nearest whole number. So let's say you spend 2.5 hours at the farm picking out the animal and bringing it back to your home. Then you would put it in just like that. Under the pay column, you have no time entered there, and then here simply add the two together, which would again give you the total of 2.5 hours. Okay. Now, let's say you were doing some sort of daily work where you had a certain amount of time unpaid, and then you got some payment as well. You may be able to put that 1 hour you were paid, 2.5 hours you were not, and then that would give you a total of the 3.5 hours. Now for the comments and findings section, in this section you're going to put any notable thing that may have occurred on that day. So for example, if you want to put in here the type of market pig that you picked out for this project, you might put that in the comments section. So for example, let's say you've decided to show a purebred Yorkshire, you may type in here that you selected a purebred Yorkshire. Okay, so that's basically how you would do this section. Now for some of you, you're just going to have maybe 1 or 2 entries, and for some of you, you're going to fill this sheet and even need additional sheets as well. Now I want you to take a look at the bottom here. This is because the Excel spreadsheet is set up with formulas, it'll add everything for you at the bottom. So if you do everything correctly here, it'll add it up at the bottom. So for example, let's say on your next entry, you had an hour and 15 minutes. Then of course you see it rounded to 1.3, which is fine. When you type that in, it'll readjust the column at the bottom and also readjust the total. So it'll do a little bit of that for you. And again, that's the beauty of working with Excel, especially with record keeping. It takes a lot of the room for error out, and also when you make changes and things, it'll do it for you immediately. You won't have to have erasing and constant addition to keep up with the time. Now there was another section I want to take a look at today, and that will be your photos pages. Now For this, what you need to do is you need to take 5 supporting photos of your SAE project. Now this does not need to simply be pictures of you with the project, but it needs to be pictures of you actually doing work with the project. So for example, this wouldn't be a good place to put a picture of you and your market animal, but instead a picture of you working with your animal or feeding your animal. Or maybe even in that purchase process. But those kinds of pictures, action shots, showing us what you're doing. Now, to do this, what you would do is just simply upload your photos to your computer, whether that be from your phone or from a camera. Save them in a file on your computer, and then to upload them is very simple. Just click on the square, and then you've got a couple of different ways that you can do this, but one easy way is just go to Insert. Then you can go to Photo, select Picture from File, and it'll bring up your file folders, and you can go to the correct one that has the picture that you would like to use here. Once you click on that picture and click Upload, it'll place it in the square for you. So very simple. No need for printing, no need for sending it to your local shop that'll print it for you. You can simply upload it to your computer, click, and insert into the box here. Very easy. Underneath each box, you also need to add a caption. So this needs to be at least one full sentence, and preferably to fill the box, describing what is taking place in the picture. So if the picture was of you purchasing your livestock, then you might go through here and you might type in a caption about that day, what you did, what we're seeing in the picture, what processes are taking place. If you have a picture of you showing livestock at the Georgia National Fair, maybe you would have a picture in here of how you did or your placing, but then explain to us what we're looking at. What show is it that you're at? What are you doing? What weight class are you in? How did you finish? What did you learn? Those are all good things to put in here. But make sure that we can tell what the picture is. Make sure it's an action shot, and then make sure your caption clearly describes what you're doing. These 2 sections that I've explained to you here today are 2 sections where students make a lot of errors. And it's not because they didn't do a good project. Instead, it's simply that they did not pay attention to what they were doing and ensure that the quality of work was reflective of the project that they did. So make sure you take your time and really take a look at these 2 sections and ensure that you're doing them correctly, because we want the best representation of your project. And when it comes time to present your SAE project, this will be a good place, a good thing for you to go over to show the class truly what you did, and to give them a good idea of what your project was, and also make your presentation much easier.